Today, we will talk about top 10 places to visit in Rome. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel. In a city so filled with icons of antiquity and the Christian faith, it's hard to know where to go first. Of course, your own interests will govern your choices. 1. The Colosseum and the Arch of Constantine. As the Eiffel Tower is to Paris, the silhouette of the Flavian Amphitheater is to Rome. The largest structure left to us by Roman antiquity, the Colosseum still provides the model for sports arenas. Present-day football stadium design is clearly based on this oval Roman plan. The building was begun by Vespasian in AD 72, and after his son Titus enlarged it by adding the fourth story, it was inaugurated in the year AD 80 with a series of splendid games. The Colosseum was large enough for theatrical performances, festivals, circuses, or games, which the imperial court and high officials watched from the lowest level, aristocratic Roman families on the second, the populace on the third and fourth. 2. Vatican City. The Vatican is the smallest independent state in the world, with an area of less than half a square kilometer, most of it enclosed by the Vatican walls. Inside are the Vatican Palace and Gardens, St. Peter's Basilica, and St. Peter's Square, an area ruled by the Pope, supreme head of the Roman Catholic Church. This compact space offers a lot of things to see, between its museums and the Great Basilica itself. Inside St. Peter's Basilica is Michelangelo's masterpiece, Pieta, along with statuary and altars by Bernini and others. The unquestioned highlight of the Vatican museums is the Sistine Chapel, whose magnificent frescoed ceiling is Michelangelo's most famous work. 3. The Pantheon. The Pantheon, the best-preserved monument of Roman antiquity, is remarkably intact for its 2,000 years. This is despite the fact that Pope Gregory II removed the gilded bronze roof tiles, and Pope Urban VII ordered its bronze roof stripped and melted down to cast the canopy over the altar in St. Peter's in Cannes for Castel Sant'Angelo. The Pantheon was rebuilt after damage by fire in AD 80, and the resulting brickwork shows the extraordinarily high technical mastery of Roman builders. Its 43-meter dome, the supreme achievement of Roman interior architecture, hangs suspended without visible supports. 4. Roman Forum. Walking through the Forum, now in the middle of a throbbing modern city, is like stepping back 2 millennia into the heart of ancient Rome. Although what survives of this center of Roman life and government shows only a small fraction of its original splendor, the standing and fallen columns, its triumphal arches, and remains of its walls still impress, especially when you consider that for centuries, the history of the Forum was the history of the Roman Empire and of the Western world. 5. Trevi Fountain. One of the city's most popular tourist attractions, this 17th-century masterpiece has been immortalized in films until it is almost a required visit. Throwing a coin, not three, into the Trevi Fountain, Fontana di Trevi, is a tradition that is supposed to assure your return to Rome. Rome's largest fountain, Fontana di Trevi, is supplied by an aqueduct originally constructed by Agrippa, the great art patron of the 1st century BC, to bring water to his baths. The fountain was created for Pope Clement XI between 1732 and 1751 by Niccolo Salvi, and built against the rear wall of the Palace of the Dukes of Poli. 6. Vittorio Emanuele I Monument. It's ironic that this grandiose monument, considered one of the national symbols of Italy, is rarely admired by Romans, who liken it to a wedding cake or a giant typewriter. Like it or not, the vast neoclassical structure crowns Capitoline Hill, symbolic center of ancient Rome, overlooking the later city across Piazza Venezia. 7. Centro Storico and the Spanish Steps. Take a look at a Rome tourist map, and you'll see one area so filled with things to do that it's hard to read the street names. This is the Centro Storico, the historic center of Rome, with so many art-filled churches, resplendent palaces, and lively squares that you could spend your whole vacation strolling its ancient streets and lanes. 8. Santa Maria Maggiore. One of Rome's most majestic churches, Santa Maria Maggiore, has stood here since the 4th century Pope Liberius had a vision of the Virgin directing him to build a church where snow fell the following day. Although it was August, snow did fall on the Esquiline Hill the next morning, so here the Great Basilica was built. Mass has been celebrated here every day since the 5th century. The 3 aisles of its 86-meter-long interior are separated by 40 columns of marble and 4 of granite, and the apse added in the 13th century is lined with mosaics of Old and New Testament themes, masterpieces of Rome's famous mosaic artists. 9. Piazza Navona. One of Rome's most characteristic Baroque squares, Piazza Navona still has the outline of the Roman stadium built here by Emperor Domitian. It was still used for festivals and horse races during the Middle Ages, and was rebuilt in the Baroque style by Borromini, who also designed the magnificent series of palaces and the Church of Sant'Agnes on its west side. Its facade, campanile, and dome highlight the way Baroque architecture weaves convex and concave surfaces, gables, windows, columns, and piers into a unified design. In the crypt of Sant'Agnes are Alessandro Algardi's 1653 The Miracle of Street Angles and the remains of a Roman mosaic floor. 10. Baths of Caracalla. Completed by Caracalla in 216. These were much more than public baths. They were a complete sports center with hot and cold baths, a swimming pool, dry and steam saunas, gymnastics and sports facilities, social rooms, gardens, libraries, hairdressers, and shops. The massive and imposing structure covered an area of 300 square meters, a complex of gigantic halls whose domes and vaulting were supported by huge columns and piers. It could accommodate 1,500 people at a time. The floors and walls were covered with marbles, mosaics, and frescoes. Even in ruin, their splendor is still evident. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.